Welcome to Philosophy in Pajamas podcasts.
Today, we're going to get into what we're calling a tender guide to emotional housekeeping.
Emotional housekeeping, I like that.
Yeah. The mission is, well, pretty simple. To really analyze how to close the psychological loops of the year with grace.
Hmm.
To make sure your new beginning isn't forced to trip over clutter you should have dealt with months ago.
Right. And this isn't about setting some, aggressive, ambitious New Year's resolutions right now, is it?
Not at all.
We're focused purely on the idea of readiness. It's about recognizing that profound psychological shift that happens when the year starts winding down.
When December arrives.
Exactly, when December arrives with this incredibly calm but undeniable authority.
It's an authority that really comes from completion. Think of December as this meticulous librarian who knows exactly which chapter you've been refusing to finish.
The book is overdue.
The book is overdue. The year is basically asking you to sign off on the story so far.
That's such a powerful image. And what the sources make so clear is that this call for closure, it isn't a punishment. It's not some cosmic judgment for the things you didn't manage to fix.
Mm-hmm.
It is quite simply the final light switched off in a room you no longer live in. It's just acknowledging a clean, necessary ending.
And if we want that clean ending, we have to start by accepting December's really strange, non-sparkling magic.
It's not the holiday cheer magic.
No, not at all. It's the subtle magic of, say, water settling after a very long, chaotic storm. Everything just slows down.
And when the water settles, that's when the truth comes out, right? Everything that was swirling around, the noise, the distractions, all that unfinished business just precipitates.
Precisely. And the settling reveals the pebbles at the bottom. And this is where the real work begins. We need to categorize these pebbles and do it honestly. The sources break them down into 3 essential types of inventory.
Okay, let's unpack these because this is where we move from the metaphor to, actual practical application. First up are the memories that genuinely shaped you. The lessons, the victories, the moments of true growth, you have to identify those and really honor them.
Then the second one, which is often more dangerous because it's so quiet, are the habits that have silently soaked your strength.
Oh, yeah?
These are those tiny, repetitive actions. Maybe it's scrolling, maybe it's just agreeing to things you don't want to do, procrastinating small tasks that just compound over time and drain your reserves bit by bit. They need to be named.
Not just vaguely acknowledged, you have to call them out.
Exactly.
And the third one is the most difficult, and frankly, I think it's the one that keeps us busiest. The fears that are pretending to be responsibilities.
This is a brilliant insight. It explains why we so often feel completely overwhelmed but accomplish nothing that feels truly meaningful.
Because we're just running from shadows thinking we're fighting monsters.
That is the crux of it. So how do you tell the difference? How do you distinguish between a genuine responsibility and a fear that's just wearing a costume?
Yeah.
Well, the material suggests a pretty simple test. Does this task lead toward creation or just prevention?
Oh, that's good.
A responsibility builds something. A fear-based task only prevents some imagined negative outcome.
I really appreciate that clarification. So if you're constantly just preventing some imaginary disaster, you're serving a fear. December, then, is an invitation to sort these things out without a hurry, right?
Yes, to figure out which tasks are genuinely essential and which are just old anxieties dressed up as important paperwork.
So once we've sorted that inventory, we pivot. And the first active step towards closure requires intentional gratitude.
And we often treat gratitude as this sweeping, vague thank you to the universe.
Right. I'm grateful for everything.
But here it's described as a quiet broom. It's targeted. It sweeps the soul gently, focusing only on what has stayed loyal to your spirit instead of stirring up a dust storm of, unnecessary sentimentality.
That specificity is really the key to effective closure, isn't it?
It is. We are not just thankful for things going well. We're thanking 3 very specific types of loyalty that anchored us.
Okay, so let's start with the first one. Relational loyalty. Thanking the friendships that genuinely, as the source says, caught your breath.
And these are not your fair weather friends.
No, these are the true anchors. The ones who offered you silent space without feeling like they had to solve your problems. They just affirmed your spirit by showing up.
And the second area of loyalty is professional or growth-based. Thanking the work that stretched your backbone rather than snapped it.
That's a crucial distinction. It acknowledges effort and challenge and the friction that creates real growth. It recognizes that the hardest work is often the most affirming.
Provided it wasn't toxic or soul-crushing.
Of course. So if you learned a new difficult skill or you managed a crisis successfully that forced you to elevate your game, that's work that stretched you, it deserves gratitude.
But if it just resulted in burnout and arbitrary demands,
Yeah.
that's the snapped version.
Yeah.
And that gets released later.
We'll get to that part.
And finally, we have to honor the quietest form of loyalty. The courage that visited, maybe for just a fleeting moment, on those evenings you truly thought you had none left. That small spark that prevents a total collapse is the most loyal thing you possess. Recognizing it affirms your own resilience for the year ahead.
It sounds like this focused gratitude isn't just some pleasant exercise. It's like actively clearing out mental clutter and affirming your own strength. It makes you stable before you move into the harder part.
The more challenging territory of releasing burdens.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the wonderfully witty core of this idea, the art of returning what is not yours. The whole framework is built on this radical assertion: you are not a storage unit for feelings that were never shaped in your name.
That is fantastic. I mean, we absorb so much ambient emotional weight, guilt, expectations, misplaced blame, just because it's easier than confronting someone or setting a boundary.
Right. And December invites you to identify those borrowed burdens, and we'll send them home. We need to be specific about what we're handing back.
So let's start with the guilt that never belonged to you. This is often generational, or it's the result of absorbing someone else's shame or disappointment. But how do we practically hand that back?
The process involves conscious recognition and verbalization, even if it's just to yourself. You trace the origin of the guilt. Was this imposed by a parent, a system, a culture?
You find the source.
You find the source. And once you identify its non-native origin, you state the truth. This guilt belongs to the narrative that created it, not to my present self. It's an act of emotional disarmament.
Then there's the blame. The blame we carry simply because, as the sources say, silence was easier than the exhausting work of explanation.
That silence might buy you momentary peace, but carrying the blame costs you energy and self-worth all year. It's a transaction we always regret later.
So releasing it means accepting that temporary discomfort of correcting the record.
Even if it's only for your own peace of mind. Yes.
And my favorite visual image from this whole thing? The expectations that were hung around your neck like festival lights that never actually lit up. Oh, that's so good.
They promised validation or happiness or success, but they just weighed you down with potential that never materialized.
And those are so often societal metrics, aren't they? The career path you're supposed to be on, the relationship status, the wealth someone else defined as success. If they don't light you up, if they don't resonate with who you are now, they're just dead weight.
Unhook them.
Just unhook them.
What's really fascinating is the immediate physical change that the sources say follows this release. It's not just in your head.
No, it's tangible. When you release weight that isn't yours, your posture changes. You actually stand taller, your breath deepens, your heart stops limping.
That tangible proof is the feedback telling you the closure is real. Lighter shoulders and deeper breaths.
Yeah.
That's the physical evidence that you've dropped a heavy backpack.
Right.
Now that we've talked about release, let's talk about intentionality, which centers on the necessary no.
And we really need to redefine no. It's so often seen as this aggressive rejection, but it should be seen as an act of self-definition. It's choosing a door that won't crush your fingers.
Exactly. It's self-preservation, not rebellion.
Yeah.
And the distinction between walls and boundaries is so critical here. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep everyone out.
No.
They're active, selective windows that show you exactly where your own life begins, separate from the needs or demands of others. They define your sovereign space.
So once you establish that necessary no, the focus shifts to what you must finish. And this is where I think most people get bogged down.
Yes, they think they need to finish every single task, every half-baked dream, every goal they vaguely sketched out in January.
And that just leads to overwhelm. We mistake volume for virtue. So how do we apply the filter? How do we know what calls our name with sincerity versus what's just inertia?
The sincerity test requires brutal honesty. You look at the goal and you ask, does pursuing this fill me with dread or with a sense of purposeful challenge? If the goal no longer aligns with the person you became this year, it has to be released. It's giving yourself permission to be done with things that feel like performance, not purpose.
And this brings us to this phenomenal concept of borrowed ambitions.
Oh, yes.
The goals we pick up, the way people pick up forgotten umbrellas at a cafe, they seemed useful at the time, or maybe someone else just left them there for us to carry.
But life is far too intimate to be lived on borrowed ambitions. We adopt goals based on family expectations, cultural momentum, the Instagram feed of someone we see as a rival.
Right.
If you are pursuing success metrics that genuinely excite someone else but leave you cold, you're carrying their umbrella. And you don't even like the rain.
So the sources argue that when you honor the truth of who you are now, not who you were or who others want you to be, the year literally starts to rearrange itself to match your sincerity.
And this redefines growth. Growth isn't about becoming better in some abstract, moralistic way. True growth, the kind that leads to peace, is about becoming profoundly honest.
Honest about what fits, what drains you, and what genuinely calls your name. And that honesty leads us to the final critical lesson December teaches. The difference between a clean ending and an empty one. We are aiming for clean, not for perfection, but for peace.
Empty is loss. Empty is what happens when circumstances force you to discard things, when external factors just leave a vacuum. It often feels painful, like a subtraction.
But clean is readiness. Clean is intentional. It's a state of preparation. When you take the time to clear the shelves of your mind, wipe the table of your heart, and open the windows of your courage, you are preparing fertile ground for what's next.
And that is the payoff. New life, new projects, new energy. They never bloom in crowded, messy soil. You have to actively leave space.
You have to free your hands from holding last year's burdens and those unlit expectations.
And when you successfully close the right loops, when the emotional housekeeping is complete, life stops dragging. It starts humming again.
There's a real palpable sense of potential, and the next year steps forward, not as some demanding creditor, but like a shy guest carrying gifts. You finally have the space, physical and psychological, to receive. It's about creating capacity for joy.
So, as you move toward the end of this current cycle, here is one final provocative thought to mull over. The year won't judge you for what you couldn't mend. It won't scold you for unfinished tasks. The only question that truly matters for your next phase of growth is this: can you walk into the next one without dragging old doors and heavy borrowed burdens behind you?
I hope this exploration was helpful.
If you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and follow for the writings on medium.com/Frisha Crawl.